everyone. I wanted to share with you something today that I thought could be useful in the coming weeks and months, or really month, I guess, for all of you who are doing a unit study on elections, the U.S. elections, and government and civics and all of that sort of stuff. I have found a resource that allows me to bring in my kindergarten daughter to the discussion and actually feel like she's doing something along the same lines that we're doing, and not just, busy work, playing with toys or something like that. She is actually doing something that is part of what we're learning, and she loves that. So I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to show you inside it, and I'm also going to share with you a couple ideas of how you could use this to keep those preschool, kindergarten, even first grade students involved in your civics or U.S. election study while you work with your big kids. The resource I'm going to be sharing with you all today is called Doodle Washington, D.C., and it's something that I learned about from Timberdoodle. I was thrilled when they offered this up to the blog team, which I'm a part of, for review, and I snapped this up and said, yes, I would love to review this because I am doing U.S. Civics this year. We're going to be doing a big study on elections and presidents and all of that, and this book would be a great way to incorporate my first grader. I think it's actually really a great way to bring in your kindergarten students, pre-K students, or first grade students, to bring them in and let them feel like they're part of the topic area that you're talking about. I find that if I can get something like this book that has to do with our government and elections and Washington, D.C. and state and our nation's capital, all that sort of thing. If I can find something that has to do with that that's on her level, I can bring that in to our lesson with my son, and she just feels like she's part of the whole thing, which she is. We certainly want her to be part of that time with us. So I'm going to give you some practical ideas for how I do that, how I bring my daughter in, and how I use this book with my son's lessons. I'm going to give you some practical ideas for that over on the blog and towards the end of this video, so you can catch those in either place. But I'm going to first show you inside the book, let you know what it's about, and then I'll get to some tips about using it. First of all, this is a doodling book, as it says, so it gives you prompts in the book. It gives you like a starting point and then says, draw this to go in the picture. So in this one, it's doodle the hands on the clock at the old post office. Now we're going to take the Metro bus around the city and see the different sites. You need to draw the Metro bus driver. You're going to look at things, you're going to have to draw things like the flags and the different statues and monuments. You're going to go to the National Zoo, and you're going to do some doodle pages about the National Zoo. You're going to go to different parks. You're going to go to the National Art, the National Gallery of Art. You're going to go to the National Museum of the American Indian, and all different drawing prompts that will take you around Washington, D.C., culturally, politically. You'll explore nature around the city. You're going to draw some cherry trees, all of that sort of thing. So these are great little drawing prompts to introduce some of the sites of Washington, D.C. to your younger student, but then use those in your older students' lessons as well. I do have some ideas about that. I'm going to show you a sample real quick of what my daughter did this morning. Our lesson was on voting with my son in our civics course. I'll just show you this. Can you see that? Yeah, okay. So this is what she had to draw. She also did, the next 2 pages was drawing a rainy day and then a rainbow. So here's her rainy day. She actually drew this on the rainbow page, but oh well. She mixed up the rainbow and the rainy day page. Here was her rainbow page that went on the rainy day page. It's all right. So she did this. She did these 3 pages, and in the time it took her to do these 3 pages, I did my civics lesson with my son, and we watched a short video clip that I had. Actually got it off of the Homeschool History website that I use. I'll leave that link below. Several of you have asked me about that. We watched a video clip, and then we read the lesson out of his book, and we went over his assignment to do. And that whole length of time, my daughter did 3 pages out of this book. So I really think it's a great way to give them something to do, give those little ones something to do to be part of your study about government or Washington, D.C., or voting or elections, anything in that civics umbrella. It's a great way to involve them in using something that's at their level. Now, I do have a couple ideas of ways that you could use it, and I hope you find those helpful. Before I share those with you, though, I wanted to let you know that Timberdoodle includes this as part of their first grade package. So if you buy the whole grade kit, you will get this book as part of that package. I'll leave a link below. I don't know if I said that already, but I will leave a link below to that first grade package. I'll also leave a direct link to just this book in case you want to use it in the manner that we are here. But if you purchase it with the grade kit, Timberdoodle will give you instructions and lesson plans on when to incorporate this and when to do certain pages, so you don't have to do that guesswork. I'm using this outside of the grade pack, so I'm not going to have those directions and lesson plans and all of that for using this. So that's why I'm coming up with some suggestions for you all on how you could use it. I actually have 2 ideas for using this in our homeschool, bringing my younger student in to my older students' lessons about U.S. civics and government. So the first thing I'm going to do is use it as kind of an icebreaker to the lesson. I'm going to use it as a lesson review and things like that at the start of a lesson. So for example, today I showed you the picture that we did, and I used this as a review with my son and as kind of getting ready, this is what you're going to do with my daughter. So this is the skyline for Washington, D.C. I'm guessing this is the White House behind these trees, you guys. I don't know. That's what we called it today, but you can't really see what's behind here. And then, of course, you have the Supreme Court and the Capitol building and the Washington Monument. So what I did was I actually used this picture as a review with my son. I said, all right, let's take a look here at the skyline of Washington, D.C. Let's go ahead and name these buildings, and let's say what branch of government would be working in each one of these buildings. And then we talked about what national leaders are in each one of those branches. Let's talk about the president. Which branch is he in? Let's talk about our congressmen and our senators. Which branch are they serving in? And so I used it at the beginning of my lesson with my son. My daughter was there too, and we talked about this, and she watched me point out the buildings because she's engaged in finding out what she gets to do in this book, because I told her that this was her book and I was going to use it at the beginning of the lesson, and then she was going to go do her part and then show us when she was done. So I let everyone know that my little one was going to be part of the lesson, and she had a role in helping us learn today. And that really encouraged her, and it also got my son interested in what she was doing, so he was looking forward to see what she doodled as well. The second way that I plan to use this book in our homeschool lesson to bring my younger one in is to use it as a springboard for review. So I won't necessarily use it both ways in one lesson. Like I'll probably pick one or the other. I'll either start with it and use it to review and kind of introduce the lesson with my son, or I'll use it towards the end as a kind of springboard for discussion, springboard for narration, and that sort of thing. And let me give you an example of that. So when we talk about the embassies, okay, there's a little doodle page here where my daughter's going to get to draw the flags that are on these embassies, and I will, of course, at the beginning of the lesson have to show her some flags I'll have to probably print off, or I actually have a book of flags. I'll have to remember to get that out and lay that before her and just let her choose some countries. And so what I can do when we get to the lesson about embassies and foreign relations, I can use these pages for my son as a springboard for him to tell me everything he learned about embassies. So little sister here has drawn some great pictures about what the embassies look like. Can you tell me what you know about embassies? Can you tell me what countries she's chosen to represent here? Do you recognize any of those flags? Did we learn anything about the U.S. And their relations with that country? So you can use these little drawings kind of at the end of the lesson. Instead of the beginning, you can use it at the end of the lesson with your big kids to kind of bring that little one back in and say, let's take a look at what they did. Okay, what can you tell me about this based on what we've just discussed in our lesson? So use it at the beginning as an icebreaker or review from past lessons, or use it at the end to kind of open the door up for that oral narration or discussion, kind of allowing your older student to tell back what they've known or what they've heard to see if they really know it. And that way your little one kind of gets to present what they've done, and your big kid can share what they've learned as well. So I love little things like this, you guys. It's very simple. There's like no lesson planning or anything on my end. It's basically just opening it up and having your kid doodle and be creative and explain why they chose to put those elements in their picture. Great creative outlet for my little one. She is super creative and she will really love using that. I thought I would share with all of you today in hopes that it would help bring those little ones in a meaningful way, so they're not just doing busy work and kind of feeling pushed aside. So let me know in the comments below what kinds of things you do to bring your little ones into this type of a study, a government study or a U.S. election, civics study, something like that. Maybe you have found some other resources that you have really enjoyed. I'd love to hear about those down below. And with that, I will leave you and catch you in the next video.